somebody being a complete skis bag cunt is one thing, but then when people make up these shittest excuses for their behaviour, like, what's worse? I can't decide. Olivia Atwood's bad boyfriend's episode 6. I don't even know where to start. In the beginning of the episode, the boys are lining up in the order of who they think is the worst boyfriend to the best. Italo's number 1 and Dan's number 2, obviously Cheney's last. The boys are saying, oh, I know I need to take her feelings into consideration, I need to make changes and all this. And then Dan says, at least I'm not as bad as Italo. How do I stay calm? Yes, Italo has cheated on Jacinta. We don't know how many times, several times. Yes, he didn't hand his phone in. And yes, he admitted to sleeping with somebody less than a month ago. But for Dan to have the actual fucking audacity to say, at least I'm not as bad as Italo, where does he get this information from? You've already watched the show, you don't need me to list every single thing that he done. But, as we know, he was out in the first nights out, kissing random girls. He had sex with her best friend. I still need answers. What happened to the best friend? And he was having sex with some random girl while she was waiting in a parking lot for him for 4 hours. So, is he better than Italo? Aye, okay, he handed his phone in to Olivia. Big fucking well. Congratulations, boyfriend of the year, guys. Time to go home. He's cured. It's a fucking miracle. She was talking about Miles and how he doesn't want to get married because his mum. And this whole time I've been saying, why does he need to get married? Not everybody wants to get married. Marriage is a scam. But then later on in the episode, she says to him, you knew that this is what I wanted. And so I do have to take back a lot of what I've said, because that's not fair. Like, over the years, I have been with people and I've said to them at the start, I don't want kids. I'm never going to have kids. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you know what, maybe I'd like to be a dad. Okay, well, maybe get to fuck then, because I told you I didn't want to be a fucking mum. So it's extremely unfair for him to get in a relationship with her, maybe thinking that he's never going to get married. Maybe at the time when he started going out, where he thought, oh, maybe it's not going to last that long, it's not going to be that serious. And then as time went on, he started to think, oh fuck, it's been 5 years. What the fuck am I going to do now? Daniela was saying that when she first started going with Akon, she was a size 20, which I'm surprised about, because she doesn't look as if she's got any loose skin or anything. But maybe she just wasn't big for that long. And she's saying Akon gave her self-confidence, taught her how to love herself and all that. Olivia pulled Ellie to the side for a chat, and she was very professional. And she says, you're beautiful, you're smart, like, why are you putting up with him? Obviously, instead of saying, what the fuck is wrong with you? Wake the fuck up and get rid of him. Get rid of him right now, he's an absolute fucking waste of time. And Ellie says, we've been through a lot together, when I want a hug it has to be him. That is generally how it is with boyfriend and girlfriend. That's how it should be. I mean, she wants to hug him, he just wants to hug anything with a vagina. And he wants to hug them with his dick. Now, I know that she's only 19 before MD says anything, but he's a fucking joke. And as I've said in previous videos, it gets to the point where once you put up with something so much, you also become part of the problem. So then she came out with the most fucking ridiculous excuse I've ever heard in my fucking life. I don't know if she says when he was 8 or 18, but she says his dad died and he didn't have a father figure in his life to teach him right from wrong. What? Is this the excuse we're using? They didn't have a father, so they didn't know right from wrong? Fuck up. My dad left me when I was 8 years old, and I know right from wrong. Now, does that mean that I'm innocent? No. Does that mean that I stick to the rules of being a fucking saint? No. But I have never done something in my life that's hurt somebody, or done something bad, and then went, oh, do you know what? Sorry about that, my dad left me when I was 8 years old. Get a fucking grip. When a person is a complete piece of shit, it's okay to feel sorry for their partner, wife, husband, child, whatever. But there comes a point where somebody can rip the piss so much and you continue to make excuses for them, and then it just goes right over my head. You're part of the problem. And I know she's only 19, but surely to God, Olivia must have wanted to say, wake the fuck up! Get him to fuck. Honestly, I know she can't do that, but I'd have been dying to say that to her. Why has nobody says, by the way, what happened to your best friend that you had sex with? You still best friends? Still go out for lunch together? What's the deal? It's time for the surprise eliminations of the boyfriends, and the boyfriends are going round and telling each other what they think, and then they've got to vote out the person who's made the least progress. Akon said that Atlo was the worst boyfriend because he didn't hand his phone in to Olivia, and then Anthony was sticking up for him, and he was saying, aye, maybe he didn't hand it in at the time, but now he came forward with evidence that we didn't see. He's admitted that he's been treating her badly, and he didn't want to admit it to himself, and he's trying to, progress. As he said, most of us feel like Cheney shouldn't be here, and I felt a wee bit bad for Veronica because I do believe that he doesn't listen, he speaks down to her or whatever else, but at the same time, compared to the other boyfriends, he doesn't really seem bad. But for her, it must be frustrating because everybody loves him, and when she goes home, he's not going to be listening. She's going to be like, are you fucking kidding? You haven't made one fucking bastard and bit of change. Hopefully it does change, but I still felt bad for both of them. She was saying that Matt's got two groups of friends. One of them is his mate, and that's the nice group, and the other one she's not met, and that's who he goes on holiday with, which is a bit dodgy because if that's who he's going away with and she's not met them, they're not then going to come back and slip up about all the ladyboys he's been shagging while he's been away. Full disclosure, I don't actually know if that's happening, right? I'm just saying it for dramatic effect. Now, since Anthony has been spending the time with the girls, he feels as if he's not really got to know Akon, and he's always just seen his alter ego. And he says to him, just try being yourself. And then Dan pipes up and says that Anthony's got it in for Akon. So Anthony fucking loses it, and he's like, you treat her like shit, right? And then they're all like, oh, there's no need for that, there's no need to shout at Dan. Excuse me? There's every need. Aye, okay, maybe you shouldn't go about shouting at people. But what he said was right, and actually, if anything, he was being nice about it. And then Dylan says that Anthony was dramatic. I didn't see him being dramatic. They were telling him that he went too far for shouting at Dan. Dan is a fanny. Then he was away crying. Good. Fucking cry me a river. How many times has she been lying in bed crying, wondering where he is, wondering who he's had sex with, crying, visualising him having sex with her best friend? I hope there's more tears to come because he fucking deserves it. Miles says to Ellie, you're like my little sister, and if I was you, I would tell Dan to get to fuck. 100%. The way they sit around and go, oh, Dan's probably one of the worst boyfriends. Oh, I don't know how she's put up with it. And Anthony's the only person who's lost his shit with him. I don't get it. When I think of people like Dan, who just absolutely rips the cunt to the absolute max, I think, let's bring back medieval punishments. The people in the medieval times really knew what they were doing. Shay and Miles voted for Akon to leave, which I wasn't surprised about because Shay doesn't really like Daniela that much. Daniela and Akon vote for Italo to go because they say, well, you're only sorry really because you were caught out. Anthony and Dylan vote for Dan, and Anthony says, I believe he can change. Do you? I don't. And even if he could change, he doesn't deserve another chance. Pretty much everybody that voted for Italo says it was because he didn't hand in his phone. Everybody who voted for Cheney said it was because he shouldn't have been there in the first place. So Cheney ended up going, and Olivia says, I don't really think he should have been here to begin with. And I do feel bad for Veronica. I hope that if the problems that she's saying is happening, because I think Italo actually turned around to her and says, you seem to be the problem. I'm just about to go and watch the next episode, and I'm just not even ready to see Dan again. Let me know what you thought of that episode, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!